it should. They're interjecting race into something that has nothing to do with race. These boys were friends. The coach came out, who happened to be a black man, that said he don't believe race is a factor. These boys grew up together. These boys go to school together. This is a tragic situation, and they should leave it at what it is, and that's a tragedy. Let the investigation unfold. Benjamin Crump they're already out saying this has something to do with race because the boy was with white guys. That is
Seeing someone like Brandon Tatum go this hard defending these arguments is honestly frustrating. But what you're about to see is exactly why this exchange caught my attention. Tezlyn Figaro doesn't back down. She challenges Tatum directly and pushes him on the facts surrounding the death of Nolan Wells. And trust me, this gets interesting very quickly. I'm gonna let you watch the full exchange first, then I'll come back at the end with my thoughts and perspective. Let's get into it.
Chief Political Correspondent Tezlyn Figaro and former police officer and host of the Officer Tatum show, Brandon Tatum. Great to see both of you. Thanks for being here. So, Brandon, let's start with you. Just from a law enforcement perspective, what do you make of the timeline, the lack of answers, what maybe occurred here?
Well, I think the first thing is that these activists came in and brought in information or lies about circumstances to make people question. The law enforcement officers have already done an autopsy. They've already investigated. There's no sign of foul play. And one thing that's very interesting that I just found out recently is that it wasn't a situation where you have Nolan Wells and 4 of the kids at an island. There's thousands of people there. There's hundreds of different boats. So him staying behind while some of his other friends went back to the mainland wasn't that suspicious. I really wish that the family would focus on Nolan Wells' life, focus on the investigation, and let the police do their job instead of interjecting race into this situation. And it's completely unnecessary to be there at this point.
So, Tezlyn, you've worked with Ben Crump. You have valuable insight into how he operates. You're not speaking for him tonight, but what do you think about the timeline and whether it determines whether Nolan was still alive before the boat left the island, like his friends insist?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm speaking as a mom, of a 19-year-old. In the same way Officer Tatum wishes that people would not insert lies, I wish Officer Tatum would allow the investigation, the independent investigation, to run its course. You don't know, Mr. Tatum, what has been talked about in this investigation. It has not been complete, and people have not came forward to say what happened with Nolan Wells. So I actually do believe his parents when they said that they taught their son to leave with whoever you came with. So for you to make the accusations that is a lie when they're burying their son on Monday is, quite frankly, to be disgusting, Officer Tatum.
Well,
and I'm ashamed.
You know what's funny? I hope that you're paying attention to this, because there's a lot of information that have come out, and I've gotten firsthand knowledge about some things that have happened on that island, and people are going to be ashamed of themselves for sitting here lying and pushing racism in this circumstance.
Well,
I don't know what happened, but I do know. I'll let you finish. I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just saying I got firsthand knowledge too. But as we're talking about right now, as we're talking about right now, you made the accusation that there were lies, that race has been interjected. Like I said last week, if people don't want people to speculate, then investigate. So this
that's true. Brandon, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that topic, because Ben Crump is notorious and has been criticized by people who have used him in the past for their cases of being an ambulance chaser, pushing a narrative that fits the racial lens that he wants it to. You've talked about this on your podcast and how you believe young black men are unfortunately killed every single day. And people like Ben Crump and Al Sharpton just highlight certain stories that benefit them rather than the families.
Well, let's keep it real. This is all about money. Benjamin Crump will never show up to a kid's funeral or say anything about a kid that's killed by another black kid. But if there's an opportunity to interject racism into a situation where there's no evidence of racism, Benjamin Crump will be there to do it. What is his end goal? He's not a criminal attorney. So he's not going to help the family get justice on a criminal level. He's a civil rights attorney. You don't need a civil rights attorney in a case where you're wondering if the investigation is going right for your son, unless you believe this has something to do with racism.
Let him finish, and then I'll let you talk, okay? Let him finish his point, and then I'll let you respond.
He's going on a diatribe, so let's
no, he's not. He's speaking, and I'll let you respond as soon as he's done making his point.
Katie, I'll let the young lady go. Go ahead. I would love to hear what you got to say to that.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Officer Tatum. Thank you. Well, let's just once again, speaking about things that you don't know about. Katie, you set it up. We're talking about Ben Crump being notorious for race baiting. I could name a couple of things that Officer Tatum here is also notorious for. So let's be careful on how we.
We don't need these personal attacks.
I'm gonna finish my statement. I'm gonna finish my statement, and let me also correct you on something else, Mr. Tatum. When you said Ben Crump would never show up for a black kid that was murdered by a black kid, my cousin Jordan Turner, who was 19 and was murdered by another black kid that also went away with his friends and never returned home, guess who showed up? Attorney Benjamin Crump. I know you're looking confused. See, this is why it's important that you
was that related to black people? There was black people involved in his death?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, that's
and
one.
they were convicted. And they were convicted.
And we didn't hear about it plastered all over the media. That's a big difference.
So see, this is why you don't know. This is why you should speak of what you know and not what you heard. So again, when it comes down to Nolan Wells, I ask that we use this time to ask people to come forward and speak about what they know. The young man did not come home, Brandon. He didn't come home. So let's use this time, instead of focusing on what people are saying in the comments, let's continue to stay in.
Brandon, I mean, Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. He's the one pushing this out there, so people do speculate ahead of the investigation, not letting it play out. But Brandon, I want to ask you this question. Tezlyn, 1 second. Brandon, there's been a lot of accusation and pushing that Nolan Wells' white friends have not been questioned enough, as if they were somehow responsible for his death based on race. That seems like a highly irresponsible narrative to be pushing, especially when we don't know all of the facts yet.
100%. It is a flat out lie. The police department isn't doing their investigation. They're doing it fair and properly. Benjamin Crump cannot come out right now and say that the investigation isn't going like it should. They're interjecting race into something that has nothing to do with race. These boys were friends. The coach came out, who happened to be a black man, that said he don't believe race is a factor. These boys grew up together. These boys go to school together. This is a tragic situation, and they should leave it at what it is, and that's a tragedy. Let the investigation unfold. Benjamin Crump they're already out saying this has something to do with race because the boy was with white guys. That is asinine.
Just like you described it just like you describe it when you talk about black on black crime constantly. So what a black man, a young black boy went with his white friends and didn't come back. So why are you not asking the white children to speak up? Nobody saw nothing, Brandon.
They are speaking. They are speaking.
Where he didn't come home.
All right, we gotta run.
White got to do anything.
We got to run. We hope that the family can get some answers because a young man is dead, and we want his family to have closure. Tezlyn Figaro and Brandon Tatum, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
So there are a couple of things I want to point out here because that exchange really stood out to me. First, did you notice the way Katie Pavlich framed the question about Ben Crump? To me, it felt like the conclusion was already being pushed before Tezlyn even got a chance to respond. And then Tatum makes the claim that Ben Crump wouldn't show up for a case involving black people if another black person was responsible. But Tezlyn immediately challenged that with a personal example from her own family. Her cousin was murdered by another black man, and she says Ben Crump actually showed up. And Tatum's response? Basically, that's just one example. But that's exactly the problem. If you're making a sweeping claim, you need evidence to back it up. You can't simply dismiss the first piece of evidence that challenges your argument. And let's be clear about something else. We don't know everything that happened to Nolan Wells. That's precisely why an investigation matters. The family has questions, and they're entitled to ask those questions without being told that they're automatically pushing some racial narrative. You can believe there was no foul play. You can believe race wasn't involved, but you can also acknowledge that the investigation should establish the facts before anyone starts declaring exactly what happened. That's what bothered me about this exchange. Tezlyn wasn't saying, I know exactly what happened. She was saying essentially, let people investigate, let witnesses come forward, and let the facts speak for themselves. And honestly, that's a position I can understand. What did you guys think of this exchange? Was Tezlyn right to push back the way she did, or do you agree with Tatum's argument? Let me know in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you guys in the next clip.